Hello, hello, hello. Let me just adjust this a bit. Ooh, didn't that work? You see me? Yeah, okay. Hi, so welcome. As always, I am going to ask for someone just to confirm for me that you can hear me. So I can see there's a few of you on there. So can someone just tippy-typey and just let me know that you can hear me okay? And hopefully you can't hear my dog whinging in the background, driving me crazy. So please just type, hello, Gigi. Or we love your glasses, Gigi. Something like that would be good. Do you like the way I've matched my glasses and my lipstick today? Are you impressed? Great. So you can hear me loud and clear. That is awesome. So I say this every time I do a live. It always takes people a little bit of time to show up. So I love at the beginning of my lives just to find out where everybody is zooming in from or YouTubing in from, whatever the right term is. So would love you to say hi, tell me where you're from, and dun, 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 exciting variation for today, tell me the temperature that it is where you are, because I have to show you, look, I've got a lovely fluffy blanket. It is freezing here in the UK. It's probably not freezing. I'm just a very, very cold-blooded person. So my hands are actually like ice. It's 14 degrees outside here, which to me is really cold. All you Canadians will be like, oh my God, that's tropical. But I'm cold. So where are you from? I can see someone's from Mexico, Dubai. Oh, come on. Tell me what the temperature is in Dubai. Make me jealous. You know you want to. Oh, I'm so cold. And I guess Mexico, it's got to be warm at the moment in Mexico, is it not? 31 degrees. That's nuts. You get 31, I get 14. Swap ya. Swap ya. Want to do a house swap? Have your hands go white with coldness. Oh, okay. Come on. Where's everyone else from? Brazil. Hello from Brazil. What temperature do you have in Brazil? Oh my God, 27 degrees in Egypt. So Dubai's still winning on the temperature stakes. Brazil, come on, tell us what's the temperature in Brazil? You all out sunbathing. 21 Celsius in Mexico. So basically everybody else is living a tropical lifestyle, and I'm here in a thermal top. Look, I got a thermal top, I got a t-shirt, I got a jumper, and I got a blanket. So Lord help me when it drops further than 14 degrees. Okay, so why don't we get going, and then hopefully some more people will show up as we go through. I'm sorry, I have a drippy nose as well. It's not pleasant. Hang on, excuse me 1 second. Sorry. Oh dear. Oh, this live thing is fraught with dangers. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm Gigi. I am the Amazon interview whiz. I was a senior leader at Amazon for a number of years, and most pertinently for you, as well as being an interviewer, because everybody who works in Amazon is an interviewer, I was an interview bar raiser. So a bar raiser is, if you don't know, go and check out one of my videos. But basically, the bar raiser is the person who has overall decision-making kind of authority to hire somebody or not hire someone. If you want to dive a bit deeper, I have a video very specifically about bar raisers on my YouTube channel. The thing about bar raisers is, unlike other interviewers, normal interviewers only really get to interview around their specialty. So I was in marketing, and if I wasn't a bar raiser, I would probably only ever interview marketers. I might interview with a product manager maybe once or twice because the team that I work with was a product team. Maybe I'd interview a finance manager, but generally it would only be within my sphere, and usually would only be within my country. Bar raisers, you can interview and be part of the process anywhere. So I bar raised on tech and non-tech roles. I bar raised on all sorts of different job families, loss prevention, finance, brand managers, vendor managers, software development engineers, solution design architects, blah, 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 loads of different job families and loads of different countries: UK, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Japan, North America, Canada. you get this much, much broader perspective on the whole Amazon interview experience. And that's my USP effectively. Whilst I was interviewing at Amazon, I was able to spot the people who had very specific and expert Amazon interview coaching. And they did much better, unsurprisingly, than people that didn't. Then I discovered how much it cost, between $200, $250 an hour to talk to somebody. I felt that was unfair, so I started up my own YouTube channel. I now have my own Amazon interview preparation ecosystem where I have my YouTube channel, like nearly 3 hours, very specific, very actionable interview preparation coaching for you there. LinkedIn, I post tips daily, and I have my own interview preparation academy where I offer digital courses that are really, really, really deep, intensive dives into your Amazon interview preparation. And because they're digital, they're much more affordable. And if you hang around until the end, I will give you one of my courses completely free that I promise you will love and will be very valuable for your interview process. So, as part of my ecosystem, I do these completely free Q&A sessions where you can ask me any question that you like and I will answer it for you. Now, if your question is a very specific technical question about the interview, the specifics of what you'll get exactly at a particular type of interview, I may not be able to answer that because there are 300 different job families in Amazon, and no one person can be an absolute expert in every single one of them. I am an expert in interview strategy, interview process, the Amazon interview experience, and all that comes with it. But specific technical aspects of particular jobs, possibly not. But ask, and I can only say no. Please ask your questions in the comments box there down the side, and I will be looking for questions that are useful for as many people as possible. Usually I run this for an hour, but obviously it depends on how many people we have and therefore how many questions. So we'll just see how it goes. So why don't we start from the top? As people arrive, I will say hello because obviously it's polite to say hello, and maybe some new old faces will pop up. So I will say hello to them because they're friends and it's nice to have them appear. So let's get going. Please do just bang down your questions. Any question, don't be embarrassed. Worst case scenario, I will tell you, I'm sorry, I can't answer it. But as I always say, if you don't ask, you don't get. So bang down your questions. Okay, let me see the first one I can find. Oh, this is nice. So this is the first one that I've come across. So I love to congratulate people because everybody deserves it. Just cutting off my chin there. Hang on a second. I might have to sit up a bit. I need some cushions. I'm so short. It's embarrassing. Let me go. That's better, isn't it? There we go. That's much better. Okay. So, Manshu. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Oh, my video on the leadership principles helped you. Oh, are you an Academy member? Are you an Academy member that you were looking at my leadership principle videos and you got an offer? Yay! Congratulations. I always think that must sound like a crowd cheering, but it probably doesn't sound like a crowd cheering at all, just me breathing heavily. Congratulations. Amazing. So challenging to get into Amazon. Even when I applied for Amazon about 7 years ago, it was tough. Now it's so much tougher. The bar raises every single year. Of course it does. That's the whole point. So to make it in is an incredible achievement. Congratulations. You will have an incredible career. I promise you. You will learn things. You will grow in ways you would never have done in any other organization. Congratulations on all of the hard work and getting there. Everybody else, if you would just say congratulations, that would be awesome. Okay. Oh, and Sayu's back. Sayu, you're such a sweetie. Oh, thank you for dropping by and saying hello. Sayu's a candidate who told me last week that he had managed to secure a role, having followed my channel religiously. So let me just pop you up on the screen, Sayu. Hey, Sayu, welcome back. Good to see you. Right, so let's see. I'm going to see if I can find a question. Okay. So just said, I seem to recall answering this question before. I don't know if it's from you or from somebody else, but do I think it would be possible to get 5 minutes in a loop interview to show the bar raiser, bad raiser? That's a hilarious typo there. That's a brilliant typo. All your certificates and references. Just see it. There's no point. In the nicest possible way, they are not interested. The data that they will use to make a decision as to whether to hire you or not will be how you answer the leadership principles or demonstrate your technical competencies when you're asked technical competency questions. You can have certificates coming out of your ears and you can have the most wonderful references, and it will not add anything to the decision-making process to hire you or not. They will base that decision purely on the data that they gather in the interview process. Now, your references will be important should you get an offer, because of course what Amazon will then do is go and validate that you are every bit as wonderful as you say you are, with some people that you choose to be your referees. No, references. Anyway, I always get that wrong. So you'll get to choose and you'll brief those people and you'll tell them what you want them to tell the recruiter, etc. But there is no point in bringing along certificates and letters of recommendation to the interview, because that's not the data that gets used to make a decision. You'll just be wasting your time, because you need that time to actually give them the data that they're looking for to make a decision. So I recommend you don't. Okay, so very briefly, what I'm just going to do is, before I go to the next question, I'm going to ask you all to please like the stream. So if you like the stream, it means that my content has great positive signals to the YouTube algorithms and it will surface my content more. I put lots of effort in this for all of you, and I would really, really appreciate that little bit of return on my investment by putting a like on the actual stream. So I'm going to remind you again later, but so that I'm not nagging too much, please just now press the little like button. I'd be very grateful. Okay, Low Monk is back. Oh, I get a virtual hug. Oh, cuddle, cuddle, cuddle. Lovely to see you again, Low Monk. Thank you for coming back and giving me your support. I'm always appreciative. Okay, let's move on. Okay, cool. So, Nikilesh, so you've been reached out to by a recruiter. Okay. So I assume you submitted your application through the online process, and she mentioned that your CV has been shared with other hiring managers. What happens next? Okay. So first thing, CV. Just to clarify for anybody from the US, it's the same thing as a resume. In other parts of the world, what you call resume, we call CV, curriculum vitae. What is a curriculum vitae in the US is not what is a curriculum vitae in the other parts of the world. It's all very confusing, but basically the resume has been shared with the hiring manager. So what happens next is the hiring manager is going to review your resume / CV and decide whether they want to interview you. And it's as simple as that. They'll review it. They'll make a decision as to whether they want to interview or not. And they will let the recruiter know whether they want to bring you to interview. Now, depending on the role that you're applying for, the first stage before interview could be an online assessment. A lot of the teams are now using online assessments to do a bit of a pre-filter on candidates before they then invest one-on-one time interviewing them. So depending on the process that your team is following, you might be asked to do the online assessment. If you are, I have a very good video about the online assessment on my YouTube channel that you really all should watch if you are going for an online assessment. And if not the online assessment, you'll go straight to interview. The interview might be with the hiring manager, or the interview might be with someone who is a direct report or a close peer rather than the hiring manager. The reason why hiring managers often don't do the first round interviews is because the conversion rate is very, very low. Usually about 1 in 10, in my experience, make it through round 1. So if you're a senior hiring manager, the probability of a positive outcome is pretty low at round 1, and therefore you don't want to invest a lot of your time in interviews that are likely to be negative outcomes. So I would always do the second round interview and have my team, members of my team, do the first round interview for me. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Moving on. Okay. Okay, so sorry, give me 2 seconds. I just need to read this one. Okay, right, okay. So you aced the technical phone screen for a BIE, Business Intelligence Engineer, for those of you who don't know, and you made it through the loop. In the first, I think you mean through two loop. In the first loop interview with a senior BIE, you needed some help to solve the technical exercise. How might it affect your chance of landing the job? It's going to depend on the weight of importance that that particular team put on the technical competencies. There's no formal weighting in the Amazon interview process. So there's nothing in the process that says technical competencies is worth 40%, behavioral is worth 60%, X person scored 35, X person scored 15 equals. It doesn't work like that. So it's going to entirely depend on the decision made by your hiring team as to how important they believe the technical competencies to be and how coachable they think you are, based on the particular issue that you had and the guidance that you needed. So maybe you didn't need much guidance and it was in an area where lots of people mess up. So they might be forgiving. If you needed a lot of guidance and it's in an area where everybody else always does really well, they might be less forgiving. So I'm afraid I can't give you a very cut and dried answer on that one. It's just far too varied. Okie dokie. Pam Powell. Hello, welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Let me see, what other questions do I have here? Yeah, okay. Ahmed, I think I just answered this for you. So you just had an Amazon phone interview earlier today and you think it went well. Well, fingers crossed that it did. How easy are phone screens to pass? Well, again, there's no hard stats that get published globally on this, right? Because all of you are going to be interviewing in different job families in different parts of Amazon businesses and different parts of the world. So there are no global stats that get published to everybody. They probably exist, but very, very high up at an SVP level. I can tell you, based on my experience and based on the conversations that I've had with other hiring managers and other team members, that broadly speaking, I would say 1 to 2 out of 10 make it past phone screen 1, and then 2 to 4 out of 10 make it past phone screen 2, and then 3 to 5 out of 10 make it through loop. Now that's very, very, very broad brush data, so don't take it as complete gospel. That's purely based on my experience and the experience of the people that I have worked with. That's the best data I can give you at this point. Okay. Okay. All right, Jack. So let's just quickly trip this through this, Jack. So Jack, you've had a loop. You're going to loop for AWS technical trainer. You've got a long career gap. Okay. You haven't been an active participant working. You've focused on your kids and your family. That's lovely. It's very nice, very admirable and valuable work. You're extremely nervous about dressing along. Look, don't be nervous about addressing the long-term gap in your final rounds. You made a life choice. And within that life choice, you did things, you learned things. So you may want to think about whether there are any particular examples that you can come up with in your career gap that speaks to some of the leadership principles. But the reality is, they knew you had a career gap when they reviewed your resume and brought you to the first round interview. They knew you had that career gap when you had your first round interview, and you've managed to make it all the way through to loop. So they know it already. So there's nothing to be ashamed of and nothing to hide. Just think about, are there examples that you can bring from that kind of period that are volunteering examples, anything that is a strong example that reflects the leadership principles? And if not, you're going to have to pull from your more distant past, but this will not surprise them. They know this is the situation with you and this is what's coming. So please don't be anxious. It's your truth. You made a life choice. There's a zonkies, millions of Amazonians who would love to make that life choice or maybe have made that life choice. So don't be nervous. They know it. It's not going to be a surprise. Just think about what you can use and just what you're going to pull in from your career past. Fingers crossed for you. Okay, so briefly, I'm going to remind you, please click the like button so that the horrible YouTube algorithms get some brilliant signals from my content to say it's good. I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. And after that, I'm going to ask you all just to press the button. Press the button. So 3. Ooh, that's not a 3, that's the 1. 3, 2, 1. Press the button. Press the button. Like the stream. Like the stream. That counts for you people on replay as well. Okay, right, done. Moving on, questions. I hate that. I hate having to beg you to like the stream, but if I don't actually call it out and ask, people don't do it, and it does make a big difference. So I apologize if that was a bit cringeworthy. I'm certainly cringing. Okay. Deepak. I was going to say, that doesn't look like Deepak. That looks like someone else I know. Great picture. You're going to your on-site. Any last minute tips for you? Well, no, because I have no idea what preparation you've done and where you might need to work on some things more. So my last minute tip is go watch my YouTube channel, every single video. I actually have a playlist that's called Start Here. I think it's called Start Here or Get Started. So if you don't watch any of my other content, at least watch that playlist. That is my last minute tip for you. Okay. Oh, yeah. Good question. Question on roles. Is being a principal something really that much more special than senior something? So I don't know what you mean by special. It's more senior. Whether you think people who are more senior are more special is obviously a matter for another conversation. But what it is simply the seniority levels and the designation of roles. So you've got kind of an L4 and L5, they would be something manager. I'm going to use marketing. Oh, actually, no, I use product manager because that's easier. L4 or L5 will be a product manager, and L6 will be a senior product manager, and L7 will be a principal product manager. In other roles, an L7 is called a senior manager, something in product, in product management technical, in program managers, they tend to use principal something or other. So that's it. They're no more special. Everybody is special in their own way, as my teachers used to say at school. I wonder why they felt they had to say that to me, but nonetheless, they are more senior, not more special. Okay, moving on then. Oh, okay. Oh, this is a long one for Leandro. Right. Bear with me, everybody, whilst I just quickly jump through Leandro's. So thank you for my videos. They helped you a lot. You've got a verbal offer. Yay! Okay, but the recruiter hasn't gone back to you. Right, moving on to the next one. She replied to your email saying that they were experiencing a longer than usual waiting time for open roles. And she's presenting your profile to managers with open positions. Okay. Is it possible that they've rescinded the offer as they are not enough headcount? Yes, it is possible for an offer to expire if a role cannot be found for you. So that everybody else understands, there are some roles where you are being recruited for a specific job. So let's say there is a finance manager's job available in the Amazon Kindle UK team, and they will hire for that exact position. There are other roles, things like area managers, operations managers, SDEs, where they do what's called a pooling rec, where they will interview lots and lots of people against one position, but they don't have a very specific role open and waiting for that individual. So they will interview a whole bunch of people, they will get offers, and then once they've got that pool of people available, they then will go out and look for exact roles to match them to. That's the minority of kind of job families where that happens, but it definitely happens in some. In some cases, simply those roles don't appear within a 6-month time frame. Your offer lasts for 6 months in this particular scenario. If they can't find your role in that 6-month period of time, unfortunately, the process is you will have to reapply and go through the interview process again. But I don't think that happens very often. I've not heard many people come back to me and tell me that their offer expired before they were able to find a role. Amazon grows so fast and so many different places. Fingers crossed that won't be the situation for you. But I hope that helped clarify it for you. Yep, okay. Oh, XM, Zem, would that be Zem Hussein? Anyway, I'm going with that. Is it okay to recycle a well-written essay, you mean the writing sample, for a new role that you had submitted to the past role in Amazon? Yes, I think that's fine. You're going to end up talking about the same examples, aren't you, at interview this time around than you did previously, because so many people apply so many times, they have no choice but to talk about exactly the same scenario. So yes, I think it's fine to use the same written example. It'd be great if you could come up with a new one, because then it'll be new. But actually the probability of anybody who is interviewing you this time round of going back and looking at the written sample from your previous interview, I would suggest is very rare. People would quite often in subsequent interviews go back and look at the notes written about you in previous interviews. But I think I have almost never myself gone back and looked at somebody else's written sample from a previous interview. And I have certainly no recollection of anyone from my interview panels when I was bar raising or when I was just a standard interviewer talking about somebody's historical written sample. So I'd say you're quite safe to do that. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, big jump. Sorry, I've lost control. I hate the way this thing just goes boom and everything disappears. Okay. Yeah. Okay, RDev, I'm going to quickly tell you, oh, you've got an SDM role. Okay, so I'm actually interviewing someone tomorrow who is an ex-Amazon SDM, software development leader. He's now working in Facebook, and we're going to do a deep dive into SDM interviewing. So I cannot tell you the exact answer as to whether every single interview is going to ask you the system design and the behavioral questions, but you will, when you are asked one, you probably will get asked the other. So you're going to loop. So you're going to loop in a couple of weeks. So wait a few days and I will get that interview out with Vivek for you and you can check that out. But you should be prepared for both. Whether every single person will ask you a question on system design, unclear. But everybody at Loop will be asking you questions on behavioral questioning. So be prepared for that at Loop. Okay. Yep. Okay. Hey, Shin. So you were told on 29th of September you would be on final. I think you mean you've made it through to Loop, but you haven't heard anything yet. And you think you didn't do well on your SHL. Is it normal that they take more than 10 days for final? Is it normal that it's taking a really long time to get back to candidates about pretty much anything and everything? Absolutely. The Amazon interview kind of internal processes at the moment, I think, are creaking at the seams. I hear so many candidates tell me they still haven't heard back from their recruiter, be it early rounds, be it Loop. They're telling me that they haven't heard back. And usually I would have assumed that if you haven't heard back in a materially longer time than the 2 and 5, probability is you haven't made it through. That is no longer the case. I've got some of my academy members who didn't hear back for 6 days after their round 1, and the SLA is 2 days. And I was trying to prepare her for the worst because of that's a material delay, and she made it through to the next round. So I don't think it's indicative of anything anymore. I used to think it was a bad sign, but now, no, I know the recruiters are really struggling to keep up. So for the moment, I would say to you, don't assume the worst. It's possibly just the delay of them getting through their workload. Okay. Okay. So what's a good answer for this? So I'm not going to do live answers on here because that won't work very well. But you think this is a trick question. Give you an example where you initially played along with the team, but you were able to make them work to your idea after a while. Okay, so that's a made up question. So I don't know where you've got that question from. When I say made up, I mean that is not a standard Amazon interview question bank question. Your interviewers can choose one of 148 different questions, depending on the leadership principle that they're working from, obviously, on the Amazon interview question bank, or they can just make it up themselves. That's definitely something somebody made up themselves. I also think it's a very specific example. So the number of people that would be able to come up with an example from their career path where they played along with the team but managed to get them to work to their idea after a while would be really small. So if I was a bar raiser on this loop, I'd be questioning this person's choice of question because it's so edge. It's going to be really hard for a lot of candidates to answer. Broadly speaking, that's an earned trust question. They're trying to find out how you went into a situation where nobody wanted to do what you wanted to do, and somehow you managed to convince them to shift direction and go in the direction that you want to go in. So it's an earned trust question. I think it's very edge, and I wouldn't have been pleased if I was the bar raiser on this loop because how many people could come up with that example? It's really niche. Okay. Shin, you took my preparation class and you hope it's worth it. Well, why don't you speak to Seo, who I said hello to earlier on in the call, because Seo took my preparation class and managed to get himself a role at Amazon. So if you want to, he can let you know how good it is. I think Seo thought it was worth the $40 for a complete end-to-end deep dive on interview preparation. I think it's pretty good value for money. Seo can tell you what he thinks. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, so our dev, again, what I said earlier is relevant here. I cannot tell you the specific conversion rate for SDMs. That data is just not published centrally in Amazon anywhere. So based on my experience, the odds of someone making it past loop in general is somewhere between 30% and 50%. And that's a number that I've chatted to when it comes to my experience, software development engineer recruiters, hardware recruiters, people in product. Broadly, that's broad brush. Okay. See what else we can find. Oh, okay. So what's one interview tip I can offer someone interviewing for a senior program manager? Go watch my video with a lady called Rim. It's in my playlist, which is called My Amazon Interview Experience from a Real Amazonian. Rim is a senior program manager in Prime Air, and she will give you loads of tips on what you should be thinking about when you are a senior program manager. So that's my one tip. Go check out Rim's tips. Okay. Okay, quickly, and how to prepare for the online assessment. Go check out my video on the online assessment. It's on my YouTube channel. Go check that out. Okay, what other questions do we have? Okay, here we go. So you had your loop, and in your technical round, the interviewer looked not so interested. And after asking the question, just 10 seconds after he was asking, we can change the question if you want. So I'm guessing, and then you've got another one. And another behavioral person, he was not able to understand your accent and he was intimidating. You mean like bombarding? All right. So I would suggest that kind of in the first instance, you probably weren't giving them what they wanted in terms of their answer. So if an interviewer gives you an option for a different question, it's a bit of a signal that they're not getting what they want. I was quite forthright with my candidates. If they weren't answering the question, I would literally say, I don't feel you're answering the question that I asked. I'm going to ask you the question again. Others aren't quite so forthright. So I'd suggest that you possibly weren't giving them what they were looking for. And that's why they gave you effectively an out so that you could get another question. Oh, thank you, Seo. Every information Gigi puts out is worth it and you won't regret it. There we go. That answers the question from earlier. Thank you, Saya. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, exactly me. But you're not exactly me, you're exactly you. Boom, boom. Okay. Is it possible to be asked, tell me about yourself for a senior level role? Yes, absolutely. So I hate the tell me about yourself question. I think it's a lazy question. I think people that ask the question don't even really know what they're looking for in the question. But it's often used as a kind of an intro. Certainly when you're at Loop, it's a bit more of an introduction. It's not something that anyone is using to actually make an assessment on your appropriateness for the role. In earlier rounds where you're talking to the hiring manager or you're talking to a kind of close reporter to the hiring manager in your first round interview, it is taken more seriously. As I say, I hate it. I think it's a lazy question. And the problem with it is who knows what that person actually wants. I think it makes a guessing game for the candidate. So I never ask it, but plenty of people do. So yes, it is possible. My advice is, and I think I gave this advice on Clubhouse the other day. I'm on Clubhouse too, by the way. My advice is you decide how you want to direct that answer for tell me about yourself. So if you want to focus that answer on, I'm going to make up why it is you love, I'm going to pretend you're a marketer, why it is you love marketing, why you got into marketing in the first place, and why your passion for marketing has taken you to some of these key different roles that you've chosen and why it fits really, really well and the value you can add on this role, do that. If you want to just focus on specific projects from different roles that you've had in the past because you feel they really, really align to this role, so you can use it as an opportunity to particularly double down on why you're so perfect for this role, do that. I do suggest you don't use it as a chance to just do a potted history of your resume/CV because they have that in front of them already, and that would be a waste of time because they could just read it. So you just decide strategically what you want to focus that type of tell me about yourself question on and build it that way, because I can guarantee the person that asked the question has no idea what they're actually looking for in the answer. So you own it, you take it the direction you want to go in. Okay, Jasir, would it be appropriate to switch teams within the first few months? No, no, and no. So you're unlikely to be able to switch teams in the first few months because your hiring manager is going to be a bit disappointed that they put so much effort into hiring you and now you want to jump ship. The hiring manager of the other role is going to be talking to your current hiring manager, and they will also be a little bit concerned that you spent so much time interviewing for one team and then just to jump ship to another team. So I think they would question your loyalty and stickability. Generally, the assumption is that you'll join a team and you'll probably stay there for a year minimum. Generally, they assume it takes about 2 years to master a role. And so generally the tenure in role is between 1 and 2 years. But if you are trying to get a role because that's not really the role you want, there's another role you would prefer, you might find yourself in a very sticky situation once you're inside Amazon and you're trying to jump ship on that role. It doesn't look good on anyone if you get to the point where you're asking to move roles within a couple of months. It does happen. Sometimes people are just not a good fit for a role. And in which case, if your manager appreciates that, you appreciate that, they still believe that you've got lots and lots of value to add to Amazon, then they might help you find another role. That certainly happened to me. I had an MBA join my team and she was not a good fit for my team. She was not a good fit for the role, but she was a really great person and I knew she'd be a good Amazonian. So I helped her find another role and lo and behold, she's still there 6 years later. It does happen, but it's very exceptional. I hope that helps. Right. See what else we can find. Just do a bit of a time check. Okay, we've got 20 minutes, so we're doing well. We are doing well. I can smell my dinner as well. Okay, let's have a look. Sorry, apologies for the pause. I'm trying to find something. Okay. Hi, Julian. Oh, hello, Julian. You asked me some questions on YouTube, didn't you? So I recognize you. Right. So you just finished a loop, and in the prep call before the loop, the lead recruiter said that no candidate in this loop interview were in competition with each other. So does that help you? No, that's the way the Amazon process works. So they may not have been very clear when they were describing this to you. I do have a video about this on my YouTube channel, which is something along the lines of what you need to know about your competition. The Amazon interview process is not a competition between candidates. The Amazon interview process is a competition between the candidate and the expected standard of bar raising. So you are never going to be compared to another candidate. When they're interviewing you, there is a set of standards that they need you to meet/exceed. The first person to meet/exceed those standards gets offered the role. So it's very possible for you to be at stage 1 and having your first phone screen, and another candidate to be at loop. And then when you get to second phone screen, somebody else is at phone screen. It'll be once the first person, it's called the first past the post process. When the first person gets past the post and is considered to be bar raising, they get the role, and then the job rec is closed and everyone is sent off to go find another role because the role is then closed. So no, it doesn't help you per se. It's just the process. Whether it's a better process than the processes where everyone gets compared to each other, I think it is, because from a recruiting side, you don't have a goal. If you're just trying to compare everybody to each other, then you could always be waiting for someone better to come along, right? That's why in many companies, recruiting takes so long, because they're always, could someone better come along? The Amazon process gets rid of that, because they're not looking for the best person. They're looking for the person that raises the bar on a very, very clearly defined set of, I was going to say principles. I suppose it is principles. So I hope that helps. Okay, so just to say, a few of you, I have skipped some questions because you're either asking me very specific technical questions or you're asking me rather generic questions, like I'm applying for X role, can you give me some tips? So on those, I'm afraid I can't answer them, because I can't just give you tips on X role, because every tip that I've given on my YouTube channel is relevant to every role, and some technical questions I just can't answer. So apologies if you feel I've skipped your question. Yeah, okay. Yes, let me talk to you. Sabor, if I got that right? Sabor, I apologize if I don't have that right. Does it help if a person you know at Amazon forwards your resume to the hiring manager, HR? How does this work? So there are, I guess, 2 ways that this can work. There is a formal referral process where somebody that you know and knows you well submits your resume as a referral. And what that means is they're basically saying, I know this person and I'm willing to bet my reputation that this person is a good fit for that role. And what then happens is your resume/CV bypasses the recruiter and goes straight to the hiring manager. So every single resume/CV that's submitted via the referral program goes straight to a hiring manager. The hiring manager doesn't have to interview that person, but it will at least definitely get to them. Now, if the person that is referring you literally knows you and tells the hiring manager, because they get to type some stuff in as well, they tell the hiring manager, I have worked with this person, they are excellent, please consider their resume. Even if your resume isn't a really strong fit, you'll get more of the benefit of the doubt. If the person just says, passing this resume on, I met this person on Clubhouse, they seem cool and need a job, you're not going to get that level of benefit of the doubt. So that's the actual referral program. If you get a job, that Amazonian gets a cash payout. It's quite a nice cash payout. The second version, which is a bit more informal, which is what's happening a lot now, didn't used to happen so much, just kind of the networking has blown up so much over the past couple of years, is people say to random Amazonians, could you refer me to this role? And they say, yeah, sure, I'll refer you to this role. And they might send the hiring manager an email that just says, like this person sent me on their CV, it looks interesting, why don't you have a look at it? Again, it'll get you to the hiring manager, but what the hiring manager might do is ping it straight to the recruiter, which is something I would have done, and ask the recruiter to do the first filter rather than have me do it, because the strength of someone's confidence that you are a good person for my role is not going to be there. They randomly met you. So what you really want is an established relationship with an Amazonian who knows you. They can then put their credentials behind you, and then you're much more likely to be taken very seriously by a hiring manager. I hope that helps. Moving on then. Okay, there we go. My house is on fire. Hi there. So you're trying to improve your stories by adding data on the results part. Very important. Everybody, you need data on the results part. Now, there are a couple of leadership principles where sometimes that can be a bit tricky. Earn trust, quite hard to get data on sometimes. Customer obsession, sometimes hard to get data on. Backbone, disagree and commit sometimes, but wherever ever possible, you do need to try and get data into your STAR-E example. So you're having difficulty finding real metrics for some, despite I have lots on the STA part. Okay, can I use them if needed? Thank you. I do have, I say this so often, I have a video on my YouTube channel all about what to do if you don't have metrics. So go check out that video. It's a really good deep dive. I think I've got like 3 key suggestions on what to do. If at all possible, use real metrics. If you don't have kind of real commercial metrics, you might have other metrics around saving time. Maybe it was a process, so maybe you could save time on the process. If you really don't have any metrics, because say your organization just didn't track metrics in the way Amazon tracks metrics, then my suggestion is you explain to your interviewer that you don't have core metrics for this example, and this is why you don't have metrics, but this is what you would have done to have gathered metrics if you were able to do it. But go check out that video. It's a real solid, actionable deep dive on how to deal with the situation of not having metrics. I promise you, it will help you. My house on fire. Okay. Okay, Omar, go check out my video. I say this. Honestly, there is no question that anyone can ask me at this stage that I have not created a video on. I have a video, Omar, on graduates and how graduates can prepare well for the behavioral interview portion of the Amazon interview, because obviously you don't have a huge career history to pull on. So you can use examples from your school, your college, whatever you call it, societies that you've run, projects you've been in. You can use examples from that. You just need to find the bridge between the business language and the school/college language. So what business would call a customer, maybe it would be a member of a society where you were on the committee of. Where business talks about a colleague, maybe for you it's a person who was in your study group and you were working on a project together. So go check out that video. Lots of very clear, actionable stuff there, all based on the fact that I bar raised quite a lot on the graduate recruitment program. So I have lots of experience of that. So go check out the video. Okay. Yeah, this is a good one, Julian. Good question. Thanks for asking it. So you've got an offer from another company. First of all, let's go congratulations, right? No mean feat to get a job offer, let alone an Amazon one, but congratulations. One in the bag. Now you can breathe and relax a little. Should you tell your Amazon recruiter so they speed up the process or giving you an answer? I would actually. This is a situation. I believe in full transparency anyway. I'm a big advocate for transparency with your recruiter. In this particular case, it can be very useful because you need to give this company an answer. If Amazon are interested in you, which they obviously are because they're moving you through the process, they're going to want to get themselves in gear, speed it up so that they can give you an offer before you off ski to this other company. So yes, I would tell your recruiter, just be sensitive how you say it, right? You don't want them to feel that you're kind of holding an axe over their head and threatening them, but be polite. I just wanted to let you know that I have an offer from another company, which is fabulous for me, obviously. Amazon remains my preferred. If I can get an offer from you, you would be the company that I would prefer, but I do need to give this company an answer by X period. So I would really appreciate it if we could move the process along so that I can give them the outcome within the time frame that they need. You're simply saying, I want Amazon. I really want Amazon. I don't want to be cornered into having to accept this other company because the Amazon process hasn't finished. Okay, I hope that is helpful. Right. Yeah, Abdullah, we were talking about this a minute ago, so you might want to go back a little bit earlier on in the video. So I wouldn't be very impressed if I was your hiring manager and you told me that you already wanted to leave my team. If I was a prospective hiring manager, I'd be a bit concerned that you've only been in the company for about a month and already you've decided you don't want to work in that role anymore. If you genuinely are not happy in the role that you've come into in Amazon, you have to have a conversation with your manager. You have to talk to them. You have to explain why it is this role isn't working for you. And you have to open your ears and see whether you are doing for them what they need you to do. You may both come to a conclusion that this is not the right role for you, and you're still going to be a fantastic Amazonian, and that you have to work together to find you another role, but you have to be transparent with your hiring manager. This is a big, big earned trust risk. So talk to them, talk to your hiring manager. Okay. Okay. What else do we have? Just a time check. Okay. Just quickly, if you have not yet liked the stream, please like my stream. It makes a big difference to the algorithm. And I know you all want other people to get the benefit of my completely free, very, very high quality expertise, right? Maybe you don't because they're the competition, but they're not the competition because of what we talked about earlier. So please do me a favor. I do this for you. Please just click the like button on the stream. I'd be very grateful. Okay, let me see what else I can find. Exactly me. So do I do specific interview prep sessions? So I have a digital course and I will give you a freebie for that digital course a bit later. It's very successful. I get lots and lots of messages from my Academy members that they've been hired. I got 10 last week, which was exciting. I don't do personally one-to-one sessions. I do have a partner who does one-to-one sessions that I refer to. So if you would like my recommendation for somebody, fly in my face, please do contact me on LinkedIn and I will give you a referral to that individual. They are awesome. Okay. Let me see what else I can have. Okay, Naima, this is an interesting question. So I don't usually get questions about kind of the post experience, but I'm glad you asked this. So you had a negative experience with your interviewer. You were sent a survey, as most people are, and it was suggested by your mentor not to sound negative about Amazon. How can you share your experiences properly? So there are ways to provide constructive feedback, which is constructive and not rude or offensive. They send you the survey because they want your feedback. Nothing will ever change or improve if people don't give honest and open feedback. You can do that without being rude or offensive. Sounding negative about Amazon, it's not negative, it's your experience. So I would say that you should not follow the advice of your mentor. The other thing to say is whatever you feedback isn't going to be attached to your profile in Hire, which is the internal Amazon system that is used in the interview process. So they're two completely different processes. So you could, in theory, send something horribly rude and offensive, and it would never make it to hire, and it would never, ever influence anybody's decision to interview you in the future. Now, clearly, don't send anything rude and offensive. Send something back that is a true reflection of your experience, written in a constructive way so that Amazon can improve their processes. That's my 2 pence worth on that. Right, moving on then. Right, we've got 5 minutes, so let me see what else we can find here. Oh, I'm starving. I hope you can't hear my stomach rumbling. That would be very embarrassing. What else do we have? Okay, yeah. Kevin. Such a good picture, Kevin. If that is you, Kevin, it looks like you were having a good day when that picture was taken. So for behavioral questions, does the interviewer tell you what leadership principle they're looking for when asking, or do you have to guess? So the majority of them won't tell you. Some do. I'd say that's the minority. So do you have to guess? All right. So it's this point about guessing, which is kind of the gray area here. I try to advise people not to guess what the leadership principle is. You'll hear different advice from other people, but let me tell you why. If you guess wrong, you're not going to answer the question. So my experience is that I've asked questions. Candidates have obviously tried to guess which leadership principle it is. They haven't understood the leadership principles well enough to make the right guess. And then they pull out their stock answer for that leadership principle. And we discover that their stock answer for that leadership principle doesn't actually answer the question because they've picked the wrong leadership principle. So what I tell people is, you create the examples to align to the leadership principles so that you have a bank of examples available to you in your mental Rolodex, on some notes in front of you, but you have a whole bunch of examples. That's how you use the leadership principles. The facets that I have created as a new way of understanding leadership principles, which you'll understand and learn all about if you take my freebie at the end, makes that even easier. Once you have that Rolodex, I'm so old. Once you have that list of examples created, if you've created enough of them using the facets or your understanding of the leadership principle, pretty much any question that somebody asks you, bar that random one that somebody quoted earlier on in today's session, you will have already had an answer prepared for it, or an answer that you can slightly tweak to align it. And what you need to do is listen to the question and answer the question. So once you've got the question, then it's a case of which of my examples best matches that question, not what leadership principle is that question asking me, and which of my 2 examples from that leadership principle am I going to use? Because more often than not, guessing goes wrong. So the process that you need to go in your head is, what is the question, and which of my 20 examples, or however many you've come up with, matches that question the best? That is my recommendation for how you go about it. Okay, moving on then. Okay, my house is on fire. In a video, I said you should try and have 2 stories for each leadership principle. Yes. You remember in another one that I recommend you also focus on the ones you can identify from the job description. Both are true. So my advice is, the ones that you see in the job descriptions are going to be the most important ones for that job. So you really need to make sure that the examples that you create for those leadership principles are the very, very best that you can come up with. Then you're probably going to also need some backup examples for the leadership principles that didn't appear in that job description. So as an example, I do a service where I will review people's job descriptions for them and give them the information back and show them how frequently the leadership principles are appearing aligned to the language in the job description, stack rank them, and that helps them focus on which leadership principles they should be prioritizing. There is a demo on my YouTube channel of me doing that, so you can go and check that out if you want to learn it as a skill for yourself. But effectively, what that then does is stack ranks the most important leadership principles. And so far, in the length of time that I've been doing this, there are a few leadership principles that really very rarely show up. So frugality is one that very rarely shows up, and that's consistent with my experience of interviewing and bar raising. The two new leadership principles don't often show up either. Now, with that being the case, what you need to do is focus on having really strong examples for the ones that do show up. Have examples for those that don't appear to be as important. What you can do, and this is a good trick, is find ways to reshape some of your really strong examples for the leadership principles that don't look like they're going to show up, because then you'll already have something that you can pull out of the kit bag and reshape for those leadership principles. So both are true. You need to have two examples per leadership principle, but you really got to have good examples for the most important leadership principles. Okay, so conscious we are at time. So I did say that I was going to give you an amazing freebie. So here it is. Please go to the AmazonInterviewWizAcademy.com. There you will be able to get completely free my Customer Obsession Masterclass. Customer obsession, I can guarantee every single one of you will get asked a question on if you make it all the way through to loop. My leadership principle masterclasses are broken down by 3 structures. The first is I will walk you through the 4 facets. There are 4 facets to customer obsession. So you'll really understand those so you can get exact examples from your career history to match those. It will tell you pretty much exactly what the interviewer is looking for in your answer. So a nice deep dive on that. And then I'll show you a mock interview of me interviewing me so that you can see how to actually land those leadership principles in the interview situation. I give customer obsession for free because I was planning to give something for free, but because pretty much anyone and everyone is going to ask customer obsession, that's the one I give you because I know every single one of you will make great use of it. So please do go check that out. It's completely free. I don't do follow-up marketing. So I'm not just doing it to try and get your email address and then harass you to within an inch of your life. Doesn't happen. I hope that you enjoy the content enough to buy some more of my content. And if you don't, well, at least you'll make great use of what I've given you for free. Okay, so on that note, now I am going to end the broadcast. If you haven't already, please, please, please do like the stream. Please do like the stream. I'd be very grateful. I'm going to go and have my dinner. So for all of you who did get jobs and have let me know today, congratulations. Well done. For all of you with interviews coming up, I always have my fingers very, very tightly crossed for you. I'll be back again on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. British summer time, whilst it's still British summer time. So if I didn't get to answer your questions, please come back then. And of course, do check out my YouTube content. There's so much there. Please like all of those videos. Until then, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, be safe. And thank you so much for coming along today. Bye.